Ho, 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 jingle, jangle, wangle, Mary, kiss my ass, and happy Mary, whatever the fuck you celebrate. My name is Dakota France, and I am the specialist of the strange and CEO of the Bonkers Network. How the hell is everybody doing? Don't worry, you didn't miss anything special. This was kind of planned impromptu as usual. If anybody decides to pop in, hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and good whatever the fuck it is in Australia. But seriously, I do hope y'all are having a good holiday season. Yeah, I got this something going on because I got an old stocking on my head because that's all I really have lying around for Christmas shit. I'll be honest, I'm kind of a Grinch when it comes to this type of year, but hey, yeah, it is what it is. But nevertheless, how is everyone? I hope you all are well. For those of you in the northern hemisphere, in the colder temperatures, I hope you are staying warm. Make sure your front doors are locked and careful of big fat men in big red suits because the big red suits, there's a sponsorship for Coke. So, this little news broadcast is going to be a little different because it will be redistributed to the audio points as well as through the obvious video distribution. Excuse me. Oof. First, I do want to answer some questions. For those of you wondering who saw the little Christmas video we did with the guys from Suds Paranormal out there, don't worry, I'm okay. It's just that something about those of you who've been following for a while know that my case is kind of weird. And I know we have a lot of new people on board ever since the individual in question was last on and when he was still alive. To make a long story short, something about what's tied to me does not necessarily like what was tied to this individual. It's not that he's a bad guy, we loved him with all our heart. He was more than welcome on Bald and Bonkers shows, but Mike, for some reason, the things tied to me did not like what was tied to him, and it caused some clashes. No personal issues between me and Mike. I like the guy, but nevertheless. And something about hearing that he's potentially back seemed to trigger that response. Don't worry, I'm okay. I know how to pull myself out whenever those sorts of episodes transpire. Trust me, there's a lot of people that start catching on that something's off with Dakota. From the best I can tell, when these episodes kick up, the response is very similar to an epileptic seizure. I know how to pull myself out, but let's just say for a lot of people who don't know the full extent of my story, it's going to look a little freaky. But don't worry, I'm okay. Nothing against Tim and Joey, awesome guys. Love them to death, but it's nothing against anybody. Because apparently Chris told me that someone was trying to say I was being an asshole, but that was probably just one of the losers I called out during the show beforehand, creating a fake profile to try to stir up drama because they don't like that I don't take the politically correct approach to addressing these people. But that's just me. And if I'm an asshole for it, I wear that title with pride. Quite frankly, not a lot of these groups out there are worth sacrificing yourself for. Sacrificing who you are and your beliefs in order to try to fit in. It's just not worth it. It's a self-harm. But enough of that. Enough of that. So, what is this news broadcast about? Well, first, I would like to announce it's been announced through the company YouTube channel as well as our Telegram link. But for those of you who haven't heard, for those of you who don't know, Bald and Bonkers is not just about creating podcasts. We tried to create this massive network of people, but that system just wasn't working. There was too much infighting, too much bitching, and no work was getting done. So over time, we made some rearrangements, and I decided, because it's my company, to turn Bald and Bonkers into sort of a distribution platform for all creators. Why? Why this? Well, it's because when you deal with aspects of the supernatural, you deal with a very holistic perspective of the human experience. And sometimes that involves getting creative, making content, doing art, stuff like that. And there's a lot of very, very incredibly, massively, and impressively talented people out there who don't get the spotlight. Maybe they're too nervous. Maybe it's something they would like to pursue. They want to somehow turn their passions into a full-time job. Something they can make a living on, but they don't know how. In my experience, especially here in the 2023s, with everything that is available now, it is easier than ever to break through the mold. And that's what we're trying to do here. That's the main focus behind the company. Yes, we do shows focusing on a lot of supernatural topics, but it's stupid to try to just put people into little boxes, because the human experience does not fit into a little box. And granted, you're going to see a lot of people that are going to shoot down some of the people who are actually trying to put the focus out there, who are putting in the work to make shit happen. Because I mean, I'm barely turning 28 next month, and people think I'm lying because I've lived more of life than they did. Well, sorry, I didn't cave and just decided to have kids and get married and be miserable for the rest of my life. Not saying all of you are. There's a few genuinely good relationships I've seen foster, in my peer groups, and more power fucking to them. Unless there's something that going on that I'm not aware of, more fucking power to them. But that's not the point. People believe that there's this mold that traps them into the position they're in. And yes, we live in a world that tries to kill creativity, that kills investigation, that kills questioning, that investigative efforts to try to understand what this experience is about. And we've become comfortable, we become so accustomed to this mass self-mutilation of the soul. We have. And there's a lot of people who try to push out, break through that mold. They get people who try to stab them in the back, to the point where that individual who's trying to put in that effort may end up doing something drastic. And there's another part that I want to address with this. I want to create something with Bald and Bonkers to where people can freely share their stories, freely ask questions, and not be assumed of just attacking. Because let's face it, ladies and gentlemen, you can't base everything off of what people say through text. It's like that quote from the movie Hitch. 90% of what someone says ain't coming out of their mouth. So how are we so stupid enough to assume that everything about a person can be read through text, through what's on paper, what's on the screens of our phones. We can't. It's impossible. And let's face it, soon, with what's coming, those people who rather just sit and bitch and stir up drama are going to be drowned out by AI. AI is not going anywhere anytime soon. And I'll admit, I have implemented artificial intelligence to help Bald and Bonkers grow. And with that, we reached one of our first major milestones. Bald and Bonkers has surpassed its first $1,000 in sales when it comes to just our books alone. But we don't just have books. We have video content. We're working into producing music that people can take and put in their own projects. We're also looking into other streaming platforms on top of building our own to help get our message out there. Now, part of the plan, part of the divide and conquer, if you will, is to simply try to expand as many horizons to encompass as much of the human experience as possible, to try to create something that appeals to everybody, that tickles their curiosity just enough that they want to go look into something even more. That's how you reel in the people. So with that, there's been a few changes, and I'm wanted to address here. Now, being that it's since we've gotten monetization on the main company YouTube channel, it certainly seems like they've timed the mid-rolls, as they call it, the ads that come up in the middle of a video, to kick up right as the action starts. Fucking figures, right? Now, which, granted, if you're watching a regular TV program, that's one thing. Little cliffhangers are set up like that to make sure you don't leave during the commercials. I don't watch commercials. I have streaming. Well, guess what? Ads are coming to most streaming platforms. But nevertheless, when you're trying to watch a live show like this, having the ads kick up right as anything weird kicks up to where everybody's eyes need to be paying attention, kind of kills it. And let's face it, you're not going to want to be going back because you don't know if those fucking ads are going to spam you again, especially with how YouTube's been lately. But that's also why every single video that comes out on this channel is backed up on our company Rumble page. Because our monetization is getting up there, and YouTube don't like about some of the topics we like to discuss. Whoopsies. Oh well. Censorship in some regard is necessary. I will say that. But in more the essence of you don't need sexual videos popping up on programs that are built to be kids, built just for kids. Which is why a lot of parents need to be paying attention if they utilize YouTube Kids. There's several creators out there who have made some very sexually explicit content in animation style so it doesn't get flagged by YouTube censors. So, little heads up for parents out there, you got young kids. There's several out there. And because so many videos are being produced and put out on YouTube on a daily basis, it's hard for human reviewers to really catch everything. You know? And more often than not, when enough reports get flagged for human reviews to start getting kicked in, the people they hire on for those positions don't necessarily last long because they can't mentally handle everything they're being shown. It's a dark and crazy world. You know, there's a lot of discussion of like, oh, you hear all this bad stuff about this platform, you hear all this bad stuff about here, I don't want this because they do that, and blah, 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 blah. You know, say like with YouTube discussions, you know, you have, oh, this network has you know, corporate intentions, this and that, this and that, this and that. All right. Yeah. Let's face it. It's not hard to get absorbed in the corporate drive. It's not. And it's also way too easy to allow oneself to indulge in the ego. It happens to the best of us. And people shouldn't necessarily be condemned because they've fallen for that trap. It's still easy to recover. And I'm saying this, you know, people try to say, oh, Dakota thinks that just because he's the CEO of the company, he has all this power, blah, 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 blah. You old ass motherfuckers need to get a life. Most of y'all bitching like that sound like you could be old enough to be my grandparents. God. Get y'all shit together before you start coming down on me. Something ain't right about that, boy. You're not wrong there. But nevertheless, I know. Some of you are like, Dakota, you're venting again. I'm just saying, I'm not going to put up with shit. If people don't like how I'm doing stuff, all right, fine. Call me. Text me. Don't scout for a low-performing video to post hateful comments when you can't be an adult enough to have a civil conversation. And there's many of you that have done that. How's it going, Dots? And that's why, and with all that, that's why I always push to expand the company even further. What was that quote? What was that quote? Oh, basically it was something about kill them with your success. Fight your enemies with a smile. Kill them with your success. Well, motherfucker, I'm about to commit genocide. And when there's been some people ask, like, well, Dakota, you have all these platforms. You know, sound like you want to try to help people go through it. All right, why should they go through you? A lot of the deterrent when it comes to this type of how should I put this? Creative approach. A lot of why people hesitate to go into it is because they feel intimidated by some of the technical shit you got to know. And let's face it, yes, you can run a podcast simply off of your phone and a decent Wi-Fi connection. That's all you need nowadays. But as far as if you're wanting to expand into books, you know, you got to be able to format things correctly so whatever distributor program you use is able to show your product well enough that people don't get deterred by it looking like trash. Because let's face it, people are picky. You know, you want to expand into streaming platforms. Each of those platforms are going to have their technical limitations. And some people are going to read through those lists and start getting a little bit cross-eyed.
That's what I want to focus on, to try to help people overcome those. So something else has actually been brought up. Some of you who have subscribed to the memberships to either the main channel or to our Patreon may have already caught on to this. We've gathered licenses for several books as well as video courses. And these courses help with social networking. They help build with membership programs, teaching online courses. We have a couple of, I have a little program I put together to help show people how I expand the podcast, how I get it out to so many different platforms. We had gathered the rights to be able to reuse this content, slap our name on it, and resell it. So in order to help with the Bald and Bonkers image, we're going to be offering these videos as part of our memberships. And they'll be available through the lowest pricing points, which is about 99 cents a month. That's it. Some of you who have been following for a while may be familiar with how we have books available for digital download way before they're officially released to the public on our Patreon. That you can get each of the books for $3. Now, there's something about that I do want to kind of correct myself on, just to address a very real concern that a lot of people are having. But the $3 is the lowest price point Patreon would let us set the digital downloads. But if you pay if you subscribe to Patreon utilizing Android or iOS apps of Patreon, okay? So if you use it through your phones, regardless of it's Android or Apple, because of the marketplace fees that those app stores have in place, Patreon as well as several other companies have had to go in and alter their pricing so that way they still get their fees, they still get their royalties, but they still pay off any of the fees. Well, the customer ends up paying off any of the fees, but they go in and adjust the pricing through the apps so that way the creators don't get gypped. They still get what they set the pricing as. These courses I was talking about, any of the books tied to these courses that can be utilized to either help expand business, expand your podcast, whatever the case may be. We're going to even have a couple projects lined up for AI as well. Those books will be available on the Patreon page at our lowest price, at our lowest membership one, which is, again, the 99 cents a month. All the rest of our books that we put out will be made available for free at the $10 a month program. Why do I feel like I'm getting the price ranges wrong? I got to be careful with doing that because I'm from the States and you can get sued because people get offended. Okay, I'll just bring it up. Okay, $1 a month. Not necessarily 99 cents, but $1 a month. You can get the courses on Patreon as well. Some of you may have already, like I said before, you may have already seen the videos up and running. You may also be kind of intimidated by the price. Well, we actually have a workaround. They're not going to necessarily be in order. The program is set to autopilot, fully automated, so that way I can work on other projects. But if you go to Bonkers TV, right? our linear streaming platform that is available on our website, baldandbonkers.net, we actually have a channel set up called Academy TV. And you will be able to watch all of these lessons for free on that channel. Yes, does that kind of seem like a bit of a scam in order to get more people to go for Bonkers TV? Okay, yes, maybe a little. But it's going to be, it's, we don't want, I don't want too many people to get intimidated by pricing or feel like there's being any information being gate kept. Things are only gate kept when I'm either trying to make sure I get all the information together so I present it mostly accurately, or if the project just isn't ready yet. That's all we do. I want everything that is involved with Bald and Mockers to be as widely available and acceptable as possible. So that's why we're doing all these different topics. That's why we have music that's going to be coming out here soon. I don't have a date just yet on when that's going to be available. But if you actually look up my name, Dakota Franson, on just about any music distributing platform, you can actually find that I already have a couple albums out. But those were done before Bald and Markers was even a thought. So, let's see. Bonkers TV, the new membership courses, books, right. Anyway, we have a total of what were we up to now? If you actually go onto our Patreon and look in the shop, you can see how many books we actually have lined up for release. We got, see, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 20 books available. And some of them, most of them, not even available to digital for any bookstores yet. We're going to try to have something coming out at least once a month. And we already have projects already locked in to be released until August of next year. Bald and Moggers is growing. We ain't going anywhere. You might see some changes with how things are going here soon, but we got to evolve with the times, right? Anyway, I don't want to take up any more of your time. I really should work on my presentation when it comes to these videos, but let's see what else. What else was there? There was one other thing. Oh. If you're missing the Bald and Mockers boys, well, or me at least, we do have a couple guest appearances coming up. Later today, it is Saturday, December 23rd. It is just before 3 a.m. in the morning for me, but I will be popping up on a Christmas show with one of our friends, or at least I think that plan's still in motion. I guess we'll find out. And on January 4th, which is a Thursday, you can, for those of you in the St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada area, if I'm not mistaken, the broadcast for this radio channel goes from, let's see if I can pull it up here real quick. There it is. Just in the chat real quick. Classic 1220 AM radio out of St. Catharines, Canada, in Ontario. On the X Zone radio section, which is at 10 p.m. Eastern. On January 4th, I will be the opening guest. I was very nervous about this one when I heard that this it's going to be physical radio, but I do believe they have a online streaming option. So, no, wait, it's no. Okay, all right, yeah, we're good. I'm sorry, I just thought I misquoted myself. I kind of do these news broadcasts just on a whim, so I don't really plan as much as I probably should be. But anyway, for Exxon Radio on Classic 12:20 a.m. from 11 p.m. to 12 a.m. I'm reading it off on the listing right now. I will be a guest with Rob McConnell. I was honestly very nervous about this broadcast because apparently they go out to almost 8 million listeners. I was kind of nervous. But I've known Rob for a few years now. He was one of the very first hosts that ever invited me on one of his shows. It turned out pretty well. I'm having to learn how to condense a lot of what I have in order to fit these kind of interviews, but be sure to take a listen. I will share any links that I have when I have them. I think that pretty much covers it. Much love, y'all. Stay safe. Have a Merry Christmas. Happy whatever you celebrate. I'm not trying to say that to be derogatory. It's too time consuming to be PC. But much love to everyone. Be safe. Stay warm. Spend some time with your loved ones while you still got it. There's a lot of, unfortunately, this is the time of year where a lot of people tend to cross over to the other side. As much as it sucks, spend time with your loved ones, new and old, as much time as you can get. Because there may be one point where you're not going to be able to do that no more. And, I'm saying this as I fully admit that I am kind of a Grinch when it comes to this time of year, but I got a new little niece now, and I'll try to keep up the good spirits for that little shit. And no, it's not likely you won't see her on a show. Unfortunately, we had some rather unsavory types show themselves, but downfalls of being in the public image. Anyway, like I said, much love, y'all. Stay safe. See you next time.